What up, everybody? Welcome to a playoff edition of That's OD. I'm Ohm. There's our dude, Dave McMenamin. Dave, we finally are in the playoffs, the best time of the year. Clippers are going to face the Suns. Lakers survived the play-in to face Memphis. Let's go, Dave. We're finally here this weekend. Dave, first, let's take me back to the play-in, man, because that was an interesting game. I mean, it was ugly. Minnesota had control of it. They kind of gave it away in the fourth. We had a little brilliance from LeBron at the end there to Dennis Schroeder. Overtime was nasty. Anthony Davis's foul and Mike Conley. What did you make of the Lakers, of how they got to Memphis and how they were able to survive that game?
I mean, it's the type of game that makes your eyes bleed. The Lakers, it's not that they had no business winning it, because they played really good defense in the second half, in particular in the fourth quarter. But even their execution, once they made that push to come back from 15 points, was severely lacking. LeBron James had a few atypical turnovers. LeBron in the first half, you look at some of those clips, he was barely making a contest on some of the Wolves shooters, and the Wolves as a team were very hot in the first half. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't miss a shot. Mike Conley didn't miss a shot. And it almost ended up being one of the worst moments in Laker playoff basketball history, with Anthony Davis getting called for that foul on Mike Conley after Dennis Schroeder makes the beautiful swish from the corner. Anthony Davis, I went into the locker room after the game, and him and I have a pretty good rapport from working together the last 3-4 years. Obviously, me covering him on the team, and so sometimes we'll chat before it's the official media time. I just gave him a look like, "Yo, are you serious with that foul?" And he said, "Yeah, my brain shut off for 2 seconds." Like, I mean, he was so disappointed in himself.
He touched his hand. He touched his hand at the end.
He got his foot, though, man. He got his foot.
Maybe I didn't see that. Yeah.
And he was lucky, under the letter of the law, the referees probably would have been okay to call that a flagrant foul because it was landing area. Obviously, the damage was done just calling a regular 3-point foul anyway. Conley goes 3 for 3. It goes to overtime. But in the overtime, how about Rui Hachimura? Was fantastic, making plays defensively, making shots offensively, and a guy who, of all the new faces that they added around the trade deadline, he's a guy who got a DNP with about 2 weeks left to go in the regular season, had to earn his way back into Darvin Ham's rotation, and he was a trusted player down the stretch in that game. So kudos to him. And LeBron had some big plays. Obviously, he had the 3-point shot to tie it late in the fourth. But he also some turnovers that were really just tough to see out of a guy who's so good at making decisions. And Austin Reeves had some moments. He was really good in the third quarter when the Lakers were making their push. Then again, Austin Reeves was the guy inbounding the pass a couple possessions before the play where LeBron found Schroeder in the corner, and he throws it away. He totally telegraphed it. The Wolves jumped the passing lane. LeBron has to go foul the guy on the other end. So, very ugly basketball. And I will say that it's not just ugly basketball in a vacuum. Going back to the fourth quarter in Salt Lake City at the end of that 4-game road trip away from Los Angeles, that was a terrible end of the game there. The Lakers didn't play all that well against the Clippers. I know there's mitigating factors, second night of back-to-back, et cetera, but they didn't look all that good against the Clippers. They didn't look good against the Suns B team. They didn't look good against the Jazz B team in the regular season finale. So, thankfully for the Lakers' sake, they were able to earn 5 days off with that win, and they better use it to rest their bodies, rest their minds, and come up with a scheme because, you've seen the Grizzlies, you've covered them in the playoffs. That's a team that can do some damage, and they have to be probably licking their chops ever since last season, losing to the eventual champs in Golden State.
So I was kind of torn picking this series, Dave, and remind me later that I have a bone to pick with fans about our predictions. Okay, definitely bring me back because
sure.
I'm gonna go in on this one, so don't let me forget that. But a couple things. One, yes, there's the absolute potential that the Grizzlies could run the Lakers off the floor. They love to push tempo. They're young. They're athletic. John Morant in the playoffs is a beast, tough to handle. I think we have to see what's going to happen with him this season because he didn't look quite the same after the whole incident off the court where he kind of had to miss time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a chemistry issue. I think the team's chemistry is very good. I think they can overcome something like that. They're young, they're tight knit, they're in a city that, they're not going to let a lot of outside things affect them. But what worries me about the Grizzlies when it comes to the Lakers that we saw last year with the Warriors is that they don't have that playoff experience, the know-how to pull out a very tight playoff game. I think we saw that in game 1 against Golden State. John Morant is flying at the rim, and I think Klay Thompson contests, and he misses this shot off the glass, which he says he normally makes 10 out of 12 times or 12 out of 12. I think he was, but he was flying 100 miles an hour. But basically, you would see as that series would go on, even though John Morant had to miss some time due to injury, that team did not have that championship experience, the playoff experience to win tight games against a team like Golden State that had all the championship experience. And so fast forward to this year, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think this is the time of year that playing game was ugly, as you said, but guess what? Guys like Anthony Davis and LeBron James, that is the difference in those type of games. They know how to pull out the end of those type of games. I think we saw that with LeBron at the end there. Yes, Anthony Davis had the bad foul, but I think that's where I give the Lakers a slight edge over Memphis. The one thing I would say though, Dave, is you brought this up. Do we need to worry about how they've looked as they finish the season here and in this play-in game? Are there warts that are coming out that you think are not going to disappear come playoff time and they're going to be exposed come playoff time?
I would say this. It is possible to flip a switch and play different when the lights are brighter. Quite frankly, with this Lakers team, and not necessarily even the entire roster, because there are some young key players they have on their team. But LeBron and Anthony Davis could both use a week's rest. I mean, it's just they finished the regular season in a sprint, 7 games in their final 12 days. They have 1 day off to rest and prepare for the Wolves, and they're right in the play-in. And so I do think you can see a more spry and energetic group. Execution will still have to be there. Now, of course, Tex Winter, the former longtime assistant of Phil Jackson, liked to say that fatigue makes cowards of us all. And so if you're tired, you're not going to be able to execute at your highest level. Hopefully, with the mental and physical rest for the Lakers side of things, that they can come in sharper against the Grizzlies. To me, the big question will be if the Grizzlies hold serve, which, they earned it. The number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They were able to win with Ja in the lineup, with Ja out of the lineup. They've had continuity over these last several seasons, building a program under Taylor Jenkins. If they hold serve, which they should, how do the Lakers' younger guys approach a game 3 situation? Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you had to look at the scenarios. That's the type of thing that causes me pause in this series. The moment where the Lakers have to come from behind. If they're front running, if they can get one of those first 2 games in Memphis, I really have very little concern for the Lakers. I believe that their confidence and belief will only grow, and LeBron will be able to find a way to step on the Grizzlies' neck. But if they're playing from behind, will that ball get heavier? And we saw in the playing game, I would say, going into this postseason run for the Lakers, who would you say is the 3rd most important player?
I would probably say Reeves.
Okay, Reeves might be the 3rd best. 3rd most important in my mind is D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell doesn't get played in the second half basically at all because he's 1 for 9 in the first half.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's what I'm going to ask you, Dave. Do we need to worry about? I mean, we need to probably worry about D'Angelo Russell and Beasley.
Malik.
The new guys, what's going on with them?
I mean, Vanderbilt, I think he's going to do what he does regardless. His offense will come when there's breakouts, when there's offensive rebounds. Don't worry about that part of his game. Certainly, Malik Beasley is a volume scorer who I spoke to an executive on one of the other teams that he played on prior to getting with the Lakers in the past week. And he said, listen, he's going to win the Lakers a playoff game or two. He may lose them a playoff game or two. And that's just who he is. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. As for D'Angelo Russell, I was a little surprised to see him, because he had been geared up and gave some public comments about, playing the Wolves, and that was the team he played for before. And he's a guy with a swagger and a cockiness that I just thought he played better than that. So I don't know whether I'm giving him, too much faith in being able to put that behind him and move forward. But, to me, the type of looks that he gets from the Lakers offense, particularly while teams are kind of copying Ty Lue's game plan from the Clippers-Lakers games where they're double teaming Anthony Davis, it's shooting fish in a barrel. He's just got to make the shots. And if he's not making the shots, he needs to make sure he's doing other things to stay on the floor. Because guess what? His backup is not only Darvin Ham's maybe most trusted player of his entire coaching career, but he's a ball hawk defensively in Dennis Schroeder. And he's tough as nails too. He twisted his ankle in the first half of that playing game. No way you're getting him off the court in the second half.
To me, it's going to come down a lot to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has to dominate this series. No Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark. Yes, on the other side, there's Jaren Jackson Jr., who could very well win Defensive Player of the Year, and Xavier Tillman behind him, my Michigan State guys. But look, Jaren Jackson Jr. can get in foul trouble. He's, I watched him against Golden State.
It's almost he can't not get in foul trouble.
Yeah,
he's always in foul trouble.
Yeah, I mean, he had a phenomenal game where he exploded against Golden State at Golden State in one of the games. But at the end, it was one of the games where John Morant was out, and at the end, he couldn't hit the shot to kind of like beat Golden State. But yeah, I mean, if Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have trouble defending him. You can throw other bodies at him, but that is a game to me where AD has to be established. If they come double AD, so be it. The other Lakers are going to have to make shots, including LeBron. But to me, it comes down to Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, the way we had seen him, in that big run when LeBron was out, I like the Lakers' chances to get out of the first round.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 35 points per game, but certainly the aggression that he can play with and the foul line, getting to the foul line to me is such an indicator of where he's at. Are we going to reveal our predictions? I imagine. I know you have a rant to get to. Let's continue to tease the rant and save the rant for later.
Yes.
But let's give our predictions for this series and then move on to what probably going to be a better basketball series in many respects in the Clippers Suns. But predictions for Grizzlies Lakers, you go first.
I predicted Lakers in 7. And yes, that's a tough proposition to win Game 7 in Memphis. But I still think that I still think the Grizzlies, they gotta prove until they prove they can win these games and get that type of experience. I'm going to lean toward LeBron and AD's championship experience. And that's where I kind of have them pulling this out. And I think that AD could be a problem for them. I can see Jaren Jackson Jr. getting into foul trouble. Ja Morant's going to be a problem for the Lakers. And I know Dylan Brooks is going to do everything he can to get under their skin. And of course, I think Luke Kennard's there. LeBron mentioned the other night how Luke Kennard broke his high school record, and he's like a laser.
Right. High school scoring record, yeah.
Yes, high school scoring. So I think Grizzlies have the better team, but I just this time of the year, I tend to trust more superstars like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. What about you?
Yeah, I'm echoing your pick. Lakers in 7, and it maybe it's a cop out, or maybe it's a homer pick. No, really, it's the Lakers are 10-2 over the last 12 games. They've been playing high level basketball with high stakes for a month and a half, and they're going to have the brain of LeBron to work with the coaching staff to put together a game plan with rested bodies and a ton of motivation. And could the Lakers lose? Sure. That's why you pick it in 7, right? That's, to me, is like the biggest respect factor to the Grizzlies. But am I going to pick against, in that scenario, LeBron James with him sniffing the chance to make another